Hello everyone. Welcome to the second part of my head spins challenge. SakuAtsuAranKita got their solo episode again because. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who still watch my videos. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with the uploads, and let's get into it, shall we? Something strange hung in the air. And for once, it wasn't the summer heat or humidity. Atsumu couldn't really pinpoint what it was. He just knew it started last week when Sakusa came home late. Why, he had no idea, but it bugged him he wasn't in the gymnasium too to make his boyfriend go home on time. What if something happened? He knew Kita and Sakusa talked, even though they never said anything about it. It was clear from how Sakusa looked at Kita nowadays. However, that surely wasn't the reason for the weird atmosphere, right? They talked all the time since the two of them had probably the most in common out of all possible combinations in their relationship. So what was it that weighed so heavily on Sakusa's mind? Shame that he won't say a word unless he wants to. Prying something out of him is impossible. Hence why he decided to go along with the challenge. Or, well, one of the reasons. Maybe if something unexpected was to happen, it would break the ice and make them all talk. Unless, of course, it wasn't as unexpected as he would hope, since he did just recover from a sickness. I mean, it's supposed to make them care, so it still should work well. He glanced at the empty space next to him, wondering where Sakusa disappeared to so suddenly. And Aran too, for the matter. Although in his case, Atsumu was pretty sure he saw him heading outside to look for Kita. Deciding to wait until everyone was back, he sprawled properly on the couch, claiming it as his throne and bed, while he thought about the specific plan. He didn't want to go as far as to pretend fainting. That would be a bit too extreme. But it still had to be a convincing performance on his side, since Sakusa knew him like the back of his hand. And he was the one whose reaction Atsumu was curious about the most. Of course, he knew Sakusa cared for him, even though he didn't show it that much. He would never agree to date him if that wasn't the case. But seeing that stoic facade break once in a while was definitely one of Atsumu's favorite goals. Just don't overdo it. He's already worried. If only he said something. But now, Mr. Dark and Brooding has to keep quiet. He stopped and inwardly berated himself for that thought. It wasn't like that. Sakusa might come across as prickly at times, but Atsumu knew better than anyone how sensitive his heart was. Maybe Aran could help. He's always been great with people. My senses are tingling. Are you thinking of me? Moving slower than usual, Atsumu turned to face Aran, who just entered the house, followed close behind by Kita, and furrowed his brow. Do you have a sixth sense or something? After all those years? He leaned down to kiss Atsumu's forehead. Almost. It's not that hard to recognize when you are thinking about us. Huh? Wait, really? You are an open book, Tsubu. Whining quietly, Atsumu curled more into a ball, unsure if he should feel all warm and fluffy or disturbed. Maybe he could be both in the end. That's so not fair. Do I not have a freedom of thought anymore? Aran chuckled at that, the deep rumble of his laugh swaying Atsumu more to the warm and fluffy side. After all, they were his boyfriends, right? There was nothing wrong with them recognizing his thoughts, especially when they concerned them. Where's Kiyomi? I thought he was with you. Oh, I'm actually not sure. I wasn't paying attention and he disappeared. Aran rolled his eyes at that while Kita just smiled softly before heading upstairs. Perhaps to change and take a shower, perhaps to look for their missing partner. Should we go look for him? Maybe he just needed a moment for himself. You know how he gets. Atsumo knew, but that didn't mean he wasn't worried when his boyfriend suddenly disappeared. Under normal circumstances, he would probably agree with Aran and wouldn't bother. But after last week, he suddenly wasn't so sure anymore. The Kiyomi he knew was meticulous about everything, especially his health, and staying in gymnasium long after dark in summer wasn't in line with that. Warm hand cupped his cheek. But if you are worried, let's go find him. I'm sure he will understand. Okay, then... Can you come here and bring some water with you? And the medkit from the kitchen, thank you. A sudden chill ran down Atsumo's spine. He shared just a quick glance with Aran before he was on his feet and rushing into the kitchen to fetch the small bag they kept their medical supplies and medicine in. They should have known better than to let Kita work in the heat for so long. Heat strokes were no joke. Dehydration as well. They should have checked sooner. He rushed upstairs following after Aran, his heart beating wildly as his mind supplied him with several images he definitely didn't want to see, only for everything to come to a sharp halt when they entered the bathroom. What's wrong? Everyone alright? We'll be soon. Give me the water. Atsumo rushed forward with the water bottle, his relief from seeing Kita quite alright and healthy turning sour the moment he spotted Sakusa sitting on the cold floor with his head in his hands, his breaths heavy and way too slow for comfort. Mommy? What happened? Fine. That doesn't look fine. As always when he was in despair, he turned to Kita for answers and advice, but his former captain was too busy with trying to make Sakusa drink something to bother with his silent questions. Take a sip, slowly. It's going to make you feel much better. Don't look up, I'll help you. It's fine. Don't be so stubborn all the time. Do you even know how you look right now? Sumu, shush. But... At Aran's raised eyebrow, he clapped his mouth shut and stepped back to let Kita work and to give Sakusa some space, guilt eating him alive. It didn't even cross his mind that Sakusa could have easily been the one needing help. He just heard Kita call and assumed, despite it being Sakusa who was missing. Just when did he get so biased? What happened? There you go. Feels better now? Sakusa's heavy sigh turned Atsumo's attention back to the two in front of him, a little relief coming back when he couldn't see any injury on his boyfriend. But his eyes were glossy, the fair skin under them covered in tiny red dots. He was sick then, enough to throw up so violently the tiny vessels under his eyes popped. And he had no idea. A bit. That's good enough for the start. Do you know what got you sick? Shaky breath escaped Sakusa's mouth as he shook his head a little. My chest hurt. I don't know why. I just couldn't breathe properly. And then I had to... He flinched, his face twisting with disgust. Atsumo was by his side before he even realized he was moving, taking care to only touch him over his clothes. Don't think about it. Here, rinse your mouth. I'll get you a toothbrush, okay? And some clean clothes so you can jump into the bath. Is that a good idea right now? Just trust me. He turned back to Sakusa, glad to see the glimmer of gratitude in the dark eyes. You've been through this before, right? Yeah. Once he found his footing again, Atsumu was quick to recall everything he had to do to make Sakusa feel comfortable again, or as much as his current condition allowed him to. Washing off and clearing his mouth were the most important things right now, which even Kita seemed to agree with once Atsumu explained. And fortunately, Sakusa wasn't a bad patient, so it didn't take long to get him to bed to rest. He was still pale, but it didn't seem like he was about to collapse or throw up again, although Atsumu was sure he was still feeling like crap. Anything else we can bring? Blankets, water? No. Thank you. Why nothing? But call us if you feel sick again, alright? We'll help. The way Sakusa's eyes dropped to his hands made Atsumu's heart ache. Moving on instinct, he gently squeezed his boyfriend's shoulder, barely resisting the urge to kiss him too. For real, Omi, you gotta tell us if you aren't well, okay? For a second or two, it looked like Sakusa wanted to protest, declined the offer like he often did, and faced the sickness by himself. Why that was, Atsumu had no idea, but it hurt him to see it nonetheless. Alright. Good. Now have a good rest. Atsumu hesitated before letting go, but he knew better than most that Sakusa needed his space and quiet in a situation like this. As much as he wanted to keep him company and make sure he was alright, causing discomfort was the last thing on his agenda. Besides, he had some reflecting to do. And so he obediently followed Kita and Aran out of the smaller bedroom, only making sure Sakusa actually laid down before he closed the door behind them. Is he going to be alright on his own? Oh, yeah, I think so. He's always been. He gets exhausted when someone's always fretting around him. Aran hummed quietly at that, apparently deep in thought. It wasn't a surprise since he hadn't known Sakusa for long yet, but curiously enough, Kita seemed to expect it. Let's leave him to rest in peace. Well, don't say it like that, Shin. What did I say? Sounded a bit like Omi was dying. Oh, really? Atsumu couldn't help but chuckle shortly, immediately feeling bad when his boyfriend was seriously unwell. I'll go check on him in an hour or so. Sounds good. Although maybe make sure he stops by our team doctor when you go to practice next time. Yeah, good idea. Sighing, he gave the now closed door one last look and then followed the two downstairs, hoping everything would be alright soon. And not just physically. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. So yeah, we are continuing on the slightly angstier train for this particular storyline, and I'm not sure how much is it going to change in the near future. However, I do have a big plot point in mind where I would like to get, so if you've been around for a while, you probably know what that means. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time.